The story of the Great Wall of China is not just about stones and bricks. It is the story of fear turned into architecture, of a nation that believed it could hold back chaos with walls made of blood and earth. Long before the first brick was laid, before the sound of hammers echoed across the mountains, there was only wind. It whispered through endless plains, carrying voices of tribes that hunted, raided, and vanished into the mist. In those forgotten centuries before any emperor was crowned, China was not one land, but many broken kingdoms, each afraid of the other, each surrounded by enemies that came and vanished like ghosts in the night. They built walls, small ones, fragile ones, to protect their villages. But those walls were made of clay, and clay cannot stop hunger, greed, or war. Then came a man who dreamed of immortality, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. He believed the heavens chose him to unite all lands under one rule, to bring silence where chaos once ruled. But to rule meant to control, and to control meant to build. In the year 221 before Christ, Qin Shi Huang crushed his rivals, united the warring states, and demanded something no man had ever imagined. A wall stretching beyond the horizon, a wall that would last forever. Millions were forced to work. Farmers, prisoners, soldiers, all became builders. They carved the mountains with their hands, dragged stones through storms, and buried their dead within the wall itself. They said each brick had a soul, because every time one fell, a man had already fallen before it. The Great Wall was not only a barrier, it was a grave. An empire built over bones, sealed with sweat and silence. And yet for every drop of blood spilled, the emperor believed he was building eternity. At night, when the wind howled across the mountains, workers swore they could hear whispers, the voices of the dead trapped inside the stone. Some said the wall was alive, that it moved, groaned, and remembered every hand that touched it. But the emperor did not care. He ordered the wall to grow, to twist through deserts, to climb impossible cliffs, to stretch across thousands of li, until it became the spine of the nation itself. The people feared it. Yet they also worshipped it, because in its shadow, China became one. The wall divided and united. It separated the known from the unknown, the living from the forgotten. Behind it lay peace. Beyond it, nightmares. But nothing lasts forever, not even fear. Because as the centuries passed, the wall began to crumble. And with every fallen stone, a truth returned. That no wall can hold back time. They called it the Wall of 10,000 miles. But behind those miles, there were 10 million screams. The Great Wall of China was not just built, it was bled into existence. For every stone lifted, a heartbeat was lost. For every tower raised, another life was buried beneath it. Historians would later say that over 1 million souls died during its construction. But no one truly knows, because the dead were never counted. They were simply added to the wall. Somewhere between the deserts of Gobi and the frozen mountains of the north, bones still whisper beneath the ground. When the night is silent and the wind moves like breath across the stones, locals say you can hear it, the slow moaning of the dead, as if the wall itself is breathing. Workers called it the Dragon of Sorrow, a creature that demanded sacrifice and devoured those who tried to defy it. They say a man could be alive one moment and gone the next, his body taken by the weight of falling stones, his soul trapped between the bricks forever. One ancient legend tells of a young woman named Meng Jiangnu. Her husband was taken by the emperor's men to build the wall. Years passed, no word, no body, no grave. She walked thousands of li to find him. When she reached the wall, she wept so long that the stones themselves began to crumble. From beneath the fallen bricks, the skeleton of her husband appeared. Her tears, they say, were so pure that heaven itself broke the wall to show her mercy. But the emperor saw it differently. He saw disobedience, weakness, humanity. He ordered her buried alive inside the wall, so her crying would never reach the sky again. That story spread like fire. Workers whispered that the wall was cursed, that the spirit of the woman still wanders its edges, weeping for every man who dies beneath it. And sometimes, they said, you could see her in the fog. A white figure with long hair, her voice echoing through the mountains. Even soldiers feared that sound, because on nights when her cry was heard, someone always died the next morning. The wall consumed everything. Dreams, families, love. Men died standing, holding tools still warm from their hands. Their bodies became part of the mortar. Their stories forgotten in silence. But there was something darker beneath, because the emperor's architects began to believe that the wall would collapse if it wasn't fed. So every new section began with a sacrifice. A child, a woman, an innocent soul buried under the foundation. To keep the dragon calm. Those rituals were never written in books. But the locals remember. They tell stories of how the earth shook, when the first bodies were sealed beneath the stones, of how the birds stopped singing for 3 days, of how the river turned red for miles downstream. The wall was growing, and it was hungry. Even now, centuries later, travelers claim to feel a pressure in the air, as if something beneath the surface is still alive, watching, waiting. Archaeologists who dug too deep spoke of shadows that moved without light, and faces pressed against the stone from the inside, mouths open in silent screams. The government called it superstition. Historians called it myth. But those who've been there at night, those who've walked alone along the old abandoned sections, they never laugh about it again. Because when the moon is high and the wind slips through the cracks, you can hear it. Not the wind, not the animals, but the low voice of the wall itself. It remembers. It always remembers. He was the first to call himself emperor. Not a king, not a ruler, an emperor of everything beneath heaven. His name was Qin Shi Huang, and his dream was not peace, not power, but eternity. He believed he was chosen by the gods themselves, sent to bring order to a world born in chaos. And when he united the warring states into one empire, he swore that the age of fear would end. But instead of peace, he built walls. They say that no man in history feared death more than Qin Shi Huang. He sought alchemists, mystics, and prophets to reveal the secret of immortality. He drank potions of mercury, believing that the liquid metal carried the essence of eternal life. Each drop brought him closer to madness. As his body weakened, his paranoia grew. He saw enemies everywhere, in the court, in the temples, even in the stars. He ordered his astrologers to erase constellations that he believed were cursed. And when one prophecy foretold that a man from the north would end his dynasty, he built a wall so vast it would block destiny itself. He called it the Shield of Heaven, but the people called it something else. The Tomb of the Living. Every stone, every tower, every trench was part of his obsession. He believed that as long as the wall stood, his soul could never die. Thousands of workers vanished each day, some buried in landslides, others executed for slowing the work. The emperor's inspectors recorded nothing. They wrote only one phrase again and again. The wall grows! And it did. Across mountains, deserts, and frozen rivers, the wall continued to crawl like a living serpent. Wherever it passed, villages disappeared. Fields turned to dust. And the cries of the dying were carried on the wind for miles. At night, the emperor dreamed of voices. They whispered from beneath the stones. They begged him to stop. But he believed they were demons testing his resolve. He ordered musicians to play drums and flutes through the night, so he would not hear them. But the drums could not drown the dead. When his generals returned from the frontier, they brought more than news. They brought stories. They spoke of lights that flickered along the wall when no one was there, of watchtowers that echoed with footsteps at midnight, and of soldiers who vanished without a trace. The emperor ordered silence. Anyone who spoke of ghosts was executed. But even he could not silence fear. One day, during an inspection, he saw something that no one else dared to describe. A shadow standing upon the wall, motionless, facing the horizon. When the emperor demanded to know who it was, the guards replied, "There is no one there." From that day, he refused to walk near the wall again. He moved his palace farther south and surrounded himself with 1,000 guards. He no longer trusted the living, and he feared the dead. But death, as always, came anyway. In the 37th year of his reign, while traveling through the mountains of the east, he fell ill. His physicians whispered that it was poison, the same mercury he drank to live forever. As his breath grew shallow, he ordered his ministers to hide his death. They carried his body for miles in a sealed carriage, surrounded by barrels of fish, so that no one would smell the decay. But the soldiers knew. They could hear the silence of their god. When he was finally laid to rest, his tomb became the largest the world had ever seen. A city beneath the earth, filled with rivers of mercury, and guarded by an army of clay, each statue carved with a different face, each warrior holding a real weapon. They stood in perfect rows, waiting for a command that would never come. The emperor believed his spirit would rule forever, protected by the wall above and the army below. But the wall was already cracking, and the empire he built began to fall apart. The moment he was gone, in death, Qin Shi Huang achieved exactly what he feared most. He became a legend, but not immortal, only a ghost wandering the corridors of his own creation. Even now, people say that on silent nights near his mausoleum, you can hear the sound of marching feet beneath the ground. Not footsteps of soldiers, but the restless echo of a man who wanted to live forever and instead became trapped between worlds. And as the moonlight touches the stones of the Great Wall, some swear they can see him still, a figure in golden armor, standing motionless at the highest tower, watching over the empire he could never truly control. He built a wall to protect his people, but in the end, the wall became his prison. Centuries passed. Dynasties rose and fell like waves breaking against the same ancient stones. The wall remained, silent, endless, indifferent. Empires changed, but the whispers never stopped. The people of the north began to speak of things that moved along the wall when no moon shone, figures that glowed faintly, like mist given form. Some said they were soldiers from forgotten wars. Others believed they were the builders, still carrying their stones through eternity, trying to finish what death interrupted. Every dynasty sent patrols to guard the wall, and every dynasty lost men without explanation. They would vanish between towers, leaving behind tools, footprint, and nothing more. In the Ming dynasty, long after the first emperor had turned to dust, a group of guards was stationed near the Jiayu Pass, one of the most remote and haunted places on the frontier. The commander wrote in his report, "At night we hear drums. No man beats them. The rhythm comes from inside the stone." Soon after, he was found dead, his body frozen in the shape of a salute, eyes wide open staring at the wall. The imperial court called it coincidence, but the soldiers knew better. They told stories around campfires, stories of the Lantern March. Once a year, they said, hundreds of pale lights appeared along the ramparts, moving slowly from tower to tower, as if ghostly soldiers were still patrolling their posts. Those who watched too long never woke up the next morning. Another tale spoke of the Silent Watcher, a spirit that appeared when the fog rolled in from the valley, tall, cloaked, faceless. It would stand motionless on the highest point of the wall, watching anyone who dared to look back. The next day, one of the men would go missing, and the fog would carry his name away. They tried to burn incense and pray to the ancestors, but the spirits of the wall were not ancestors. They were something older, something born from pain and stone and memory. Locals believed that the wall itself had absorbed too much suffering, that it had become a living thing, and like all living things, it demanded balance. One old monk once said, "When so many die for one dream, that dream becomes a spirit." He called the wall a god of sorrow, created by human hands, fed by human blood, and kept alive by human fear. In later centuries, explorers tried to uncover the truth. British archaeologists in the 19th century wrote of strange phenomena: compass needles spinning without reason, cameras failing to capture images near certain towers, and footsteps echoing when no one was there. One expedition in 1908 disappeared entirely. Their camp was found abandoned, tents ripped open from the inside, supplies untouched, and strange symbols scratched into the sand. Circles crossed by a single line, repeated again and again. Locals said it was the mark of the restless dead. Souls who could not find peace because their bodies were sealed within the wall. Even in the 20th century, Chinese workers repairing old sections of the wall reported hearing voices beneath the ground. They said it sounded like chanting. Thousands of voices humming a low, endless song, microphones placed along the foundations. Recorded vibrations that no machine could explain. Scientists called it resonance. The workers called it revenge. Tourists who visit today often speak of strange things caught on their phones. Figures appearing for a moment and then fading. Faces in the fog. Whispers carried by the wind. But what truly haunts those who walk the wall at night is not what they see. It's what they feel. An invisible presence. A weight pressing against the chest, as if the air itself remembers. One traveler described it like this: it's as if the wall is breathing, and when it exhales, you feel it inside your bones. Even the animals know. Birds never land on certain towers. Dogs refuse to cross the shadow of the wall after sunset. Old villagers say that's because the ground is cursed, that beneath every tower lies a doorway to the underworld. They believe that when the emperor died, his priests sealed gateways all along the wall to trap the souls of the restless. But gates cannot hold forever. Sometimes when the moon is blood red, you can see thin streams of mist rising from the cracks in the stones. The locals call it spirit smoke. They say it's the souls trying to escape. No one goes near the wall on those nights, because those who do sometimes never come back. And when they do, they are not the same. They speak of dreams filled with faces, of walls that move and breathe, of voices whispering in languages older than time. One man claimed he saw the entire wall moving, not shaking but breathing. He said the stones pulsed with light from within, like veins under skin. No one believed him. But when they returned the next morning, that section of the wall had collapsed, as if something inside finally woke up. The Great Wall of China was meant to protect the living, but somewhere along the way, it became the kingdom of the dead. And as long as people walk its length, the ghosts will never rest. They say the wall is only what we can see, a spine of stone stretching across a dying world. But what lies beneath it, that's where the truth hides. In 1976, a group of archaeologists discovered an entrance beneath a collapsed section of the wall near Hebei province. It led to a narrow tunnel descending into darkness. At first, they believed it was an old supply passage, but the deeper they went, the stranger it became. The walls were not made of brick, but of smooth black stone, cut with impossible precision. Symbols were carved into the surface: circles, serpents, and eyes, each glowing faintly when touched by light. Their torches began to flicker. One man said he heard breathing. Another claimed he felt the ground pulsing beneath his feet. The team recorded everything, but when they returned to the surface, their film reels were blank. The audio tapes played only static, and the sound of something faint, like a heartbeat. The Chinese government sealed the site within 24 hours. The report was buried under the title, Unstable Geological Formation. But the locals knew better. They called it the Dragon's Mouth. For generations, shepherds had warned travelers never to sleep near that section of the wall. They said the ground there was alive, that it whispered in the night, calling names that no one had spoken for centuries. Years later, a secret excavation was ordered under military supervision. No official records exist, but leaked documents mention a chamber carved deep into the bedrock. A vast circular hall with a single stone structure in the center. The soldiers called it the Heart. Inside that structure, they found a massive sphere made of jade and iron. It pulsed with warmth, as if something inside was still alive. When one of the men touched it, the lights went out. They heard a sound, not a voice, not a machine, but a deep, rhythmic vibration. That seemed to come from inside the earth itself. 2 of the soldiers never returned. The others were ordered to remain silent. Within weeks, the entire project vanished from all records. Satellite scans show nothing there now. Only sand, stone, and silence. But those who were there, some of them spoke years later, their voices shaking. They said they saw faces inside the sphere, thousands of them, pressed against the inner surface, their mouths open in silent screams. The legend says that when the Great Wall was built, the Emperor's mystics placed a heart beneath it, a vessel to contain the souls of the dead, so they would not rise again. They believed the wall would crumble if the souls ever escaped. So they sealed them inside, fused with iron and jade, and buried it beneath the foundation, a cage for eternity. But eternity is long, and nothing stays buried forever. In 2006, a group of foreign explorers claimed to find traces of the same tunnel system. They live-streamed their descent. But after 11 minutes, the feed went black. Their last words were, "It's not empty down here." Their bodies were never recovered. A year later, locals began reporting tremors. No earthquakes were recorded. Yet animals refused to approach the wall for days. People said they saw cracks forming across the stones, not from erosion, but from pressure, as if something inside was pushing to get out. Some experts now believe the wall may cover a network of ancient burial complexes, built long before the First Dynasty. Structures so deep, they might connect to caverns that have never seen the sun. Legends from the Han Dynasty speak of tunnels filled with mirrors that reflect no light, and chambers where time moves slower than above. One scroll, written in fading ink, describes a door made of living stone, a slab that opens only when blood touches it. They say it guards the core of the dragon, a place where the Emperor's soul was bound to the wall, so his spirit could rule even after death. Some believe that core still exists, buried miles below, beating slowly, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Even modern satellites sometimes detect magnetic anomalies along the wall, a pulse repeating every 41 hours. Scientists call it interference. Historians call it coincidence. But the locals have another word: heartbeat. They say when the wall breathes, storms follow, and when it sleeps, something beneath it dreams. No one knows what will happen if it ever wakes, because maybe the Great Wall was never just protection. Maybe it was a seal, a lock to hold back something far older than any empire. A creature, a god, a memory of what humanity once feared the most. And if the seal breaks, what comes out may not recognize us as its creators. The wall still stands, but beneath its stones, the earth hums. Softly, patiently, as if counting the moments, until history repeats itself. For more than 2,000 years, the Great Wall of China stood as a monument to human power and to human fear. It had seen emperors rise and fall, wars, revolutions, and the slow march of time that buried all memory beneath dust. But time does not erase everything. Some things only sleep. In the early days of the 21st century, something began to change. Seismographs across northern China started to record a pulse, a rhythmic vibration that came not from the Earth's crust, but from deep within the wall itself. Every 41 hours, the readings spiked. At first, scientists blamed faulty equipment. Then they replaced the instruments. The pulse remained. They sent drones. They sent ground-penetrating radar. And what they found beneath the oldest section near Gansu shocked them. There was a hollow space, a chamber over 300 meters wide, carved into solid rock, sealed by a layer of metal thicker than any known alloy. Inside, the sensors detected movement, slow, rhythmic, like breathing. When the footage reached Beijing, The government ordered an immediate blackout. No press, no internet leaks. But secrets never stay buried, not anymore. Within weeks, the story spread across encrypted forums. They called it the beating wall. And as curiosity grew, so did fear. In a nearby village, old men remembered a prophecy, passed down through whispers for generations. When the wall breathes again, the dragon will open its eyes. Most laughed, until the animals began to flee. Dogs barked at empty air. Birds struck the wall in swarms, falling dead as if the sky itself turned against them. Then came the storms, not of rain, but of sand and lightning. For 3 days, the desert screamed. And when the dust settled, a crack appeared along the wall, running for miles, glowing faintly in the dark. Cameras captured it before the footage was erased. From the crack came a light, green pulsating alive, and a sound, deep and slow, like the heartbeat of the world itself. The government sealed the area, but the damage was done. Something beneath had awakened. Locals began to disappear. Villages emptied overnight. Those who stayed behind spoke of voices calling from underground, chanting in languages older than human speech. One farmer recorded the sound on his phone. It lasted 13 seconds before the device melted in his hand. Experts were brought in, geologists, linguists, priests. None could explain what they found. The air was charged, the magnetic field distorted. Machines failed without reason. And beneath it all, that same pulse, steady, growing stronger. An American journalist managed to sneak near the site. His final message read, "The wall isn't just waking up, it's remembering." Then his signal vanished. What followed was covered in silence, but satellite images leaked weeks later showed something impossible. Sections of the wall shifting, not collapsing, moving, like a serpent twisting beneath the surface. Those who saw it said it was beautiful and horrifying. Scientists now believe that the wall may have been built over something ancient, something not of human origin. A containment structure, not a defense. If that is true, then the wall was never meant to keep invaders out. It was meant to keep something in. And now, after 20 centuries, that prison is breaking. Witnesses describe lights dancing across the horizon, shapes in the clouds that resemble wings, seismic patterns forming the outline of a dragon, stretching from one end of the wall to the other. It sounds like myth, but then so did the wall itself once. In one leaked recording, a Chinese officer whispers, "It's not stone, it's scales." Since then, no one has seen that officer again. All access to the site has been denied. Satellites are jammed. Tourist routes are closed for reconstruction. But people nearby say the nights have become longer. The air heavier, the ground warm. And sometimes, in complete silence, you can hear a low vibration, moving through the soil. A heartbeat older than history. The monks of Shaolin still chant the same warning, written in scrolls that survived every dynasty. Do not awaken the wall, for the wall remembers. Some say it is only superstition. Others believe the awakening has already begun. The wall has started to shift in subtle ways. Sections that once faced east now tilt slightly north. Towers realign as if following a pattern. From space, the formation begins to resemble something ancient, something reptilian, a sleeping dragon, stirring beneath the skin of the earth. If the wall truly wakes, what happens next? Will it rise and crumble the land that built it? Or will it reveal a truth that humanity was never meant to know? Perhaps the wall is not evil. Perhaps it is a warning, a message left by those who came before, a message we refuse to hear. And now the message speaks in thunder. The Great Wall of China still stands, but it is no longer silent. Its heart beats once every 41 hours, louder each time. And one day, it will stop pretending to be a wall. When that day comes, the world will remember that fear, like stone, never truly dies, because what we build to keep the darkness out eventually becomes the darkness itself. And the wall, is waiting.